All right, how is everybody doing? Welcome back. If you're coming back, if this is your first episode, thank you. I'm Thomas. Welcome to Real Distracted, the podcast where I, Thomas Austin, navigate life with ADHD, but somehow manage to focus when it comes to movies. They've always been my passion. Movies, that is. The one that truly holds my attention. The one thing that really has been able to hold my attention. Today, we're diving into Joker, Folie, Deux, the Joker sequel, a film I was lucky enough to catch an early. It was a fan/influencer screening really early on. It was on this Monday. The movie comes out today, Friday, the October the 4th. I'll break down my experience, the stunning performances from Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga, and mentioned to Brendan Gleeson as well, did a great job, and dig into some behind the scenes filmmaking. So let's jump into Real Distracted, because when it comes to movies, I might actually be able to stay on track. We'll find out though. So before I get started, I want to say that I'm doing this show in one take. No matter what happens, I'm doing the show in one take, and I'm going to try to keep it under 30 minutes. Knock on wood. We'll see. Who knows what's going to happen. All right. So I'm going to be going heavily off my notes here because I want to do the movie justice. It was a great experience. I'm not really a critic. So if you've ever seen the show before, it's more just to talk about movie and just general conversation about the movie and kind of mix in my stories and my experiences. So let me get this mic set up. All right. So early screening experience. So like I said, I saw it Monday. AMC notified me. So my previous episode, which was episode 9, I did on Megalopolis. So I was actually at the theater Sunday to see Megalopolis this previous Sunday. And while I'm in the theater, I get a notification from AMC Stubs, and it says, there's a few tickets left. Come see this early. And I was like, the Joker's coming out on Monday, and my day off that's my last day off is Monday. So I'm like, I got to see it. So I did. It was really, really cool to be able to see that. So when I got there, so this is a nighttime showing. They only did one, and it was at their main, the particular AMC I go to. They have one theater, even though it's a 24 theater mega, I don't know what the hell they call it, AMC theater. So they have 24 screens or theaters, and one of them is focused on the IMAX. It has the big screen, the big seats, but it's not 3D. Then they have the IMAX 3D version. So they used, of course, the big IMAX. So when I got there, I heard you had to have your ID out right at the entrance. I've been to a couple of screenings. I think this might have been my third early screening in my life. I remember before, I forgot what movie it was, I got to see early, and they had a metal detector. That's how serious it was. They didn't do that to us, but they were asking for IDs, and I'm like, what do you need an ID for? And they gave us a poster. Just the regular fans like myself, they gave us this poster, which is pretty cool. I might frame that with my movie stuff. But they had this stack of like hoodies that said Joker, Folie, Deux, and there was something else that's maybe t-shirts. And I was like, I want that, because I'm like such a, I don't know, I love collectibles, merchandise, stuff like that. And the lady's like, nope, that's why I'm checking IDs, because those are for the influencers. And I'm like, fucking influencers, man. I'm an influencer, man. I got a podcast. I probably got like 3 people that listen to my show a week, man. Come on. But anyways, I got the poster. I was lucky enough to go. So anyways, moving right along. Like I said, I want to keep this one kind of short. The reason why is because I was going to end and explain this, but I'm really happy that I'm going on a trip. And I've got a pack in the next couple of days. So doing this episode, me opening my big mouth and going, I'm going to do the episode Friday, I probably shouldn't have done that. I just shot myself in the foot. But anyways, here we go. So, uh, so starting out, seeing it in IMAX. The previous movie that I saw, Megalopolis, was in IMAX, and that started making me wonder, what exactly is IMAX? We all know that it's bigger, better, brighter, higher definition. So I started doing a little bit of research, and the IMAX is uh, so IMAX versus traditional 35 millimeter is what you normally see. 35 millimeter is the size of the lens. The difference between IMAX and traditional film. IMAX uses larger film stock, so instead of 35 millimeter, it uses 65 millimeter. So the size of the film and the size, the amount, the bigger the lens, the more light and data, if it's digital, or light can come in. So when you have a larger full size frame, you're able to have more detail, color. So like when you see National Geographics, there's a camera that is amazing called the Hasselblad. They'll use big, huge. My uncle Spike is a big photography person, and he's always teaching me something about it. He was telling me that they have up to 4-inch. So the larger the frame, the larger the lens, the larger, the more detailed the image can be. So traditional movies 35, IMAX film stock is 65 millimeter or digital equivalent, creating higher resolution and a bigger, more immersive frame. IMAX offers better image clarity, brightness, and color accuracy, especially noticeable in expansive, visually rich scenes like those at Joker. So let's go over the cast and crew. The director was Todd Phillips, of course. Lead actors, Joaquin Phoenix as Arthur Fleck / the Joker. Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn. Supporting actors did a great job. Brendan Gleeson, Catherine Keener. She played his lawyer. If you might know her from, she was a love interest in 40-Year-Old Virgin and Being John Malkovich. The cinematographer was Lawrence Sher. The music composer was Hildur Jon Nodeder. I probably am going to mess that up. Produced by Todd Phillips, and then also his buddy Bradley Cooper, who also produced the first Joker, and Emma Tillinger-Koskoff. I don't want to give away the whole movie. I'm going to keep this episode tight, man. Keep it tight. I'm looking at my time now. So this movie is set in Arkham Asylum, where Arthur Fleck is now locked in a high security wing due to his violent crimes. Arthur is pinned for 5 murders, but jokes about getting away with his mother's murder, the 6th. Arthur's mental state. Arthur is, in this movie, he's heavily medicated, so his behavior has been subdued, and he's preparing for his trial. He's been quiet, and the guards start treating him less like a threat and more like a source of amusement. Their interactions where guards ask him to tell jokes for exchange for cigarettes. It makes you, I'm a former smoker, so watching this movie, for one, you can just absolutely tell, a smoker. If anyone's been a smoker, or maybe not, when you see someone smoking on screen, you've seen people that are smoking that were non-smokers, or they're just kind of blowing it out, but you could tell they really focus in on the sound. Like I talked about the IMAX, but this movie was beautiful. The cinematography was amazing, but they focus on, when you're locked away like that, you have very little creature comforts. Is that how you say it? Comfort creatures? No, creature comforts. And for Arthur, the Joker, he's locked down like 23 hours out of the day. Cigarettes is one thing, and the guards pull their cigarettes out. So Brendan Gleeson is the lead guard. He has an amazing role because you don't know what's going to happen with him. Because Brendan Gleeson is somebody, should talk more about him. He's a brilliant actor. He could play a hero, or he could play a really bad villain, or anything in between. Like the film In Bruges with him and Colin Farrell, the two Irish guys. Oh my God, this guy's been in amazing movies, done amazing performances, amazing actor. So he's the lead guard, and then there's also a guy from New England, Boston rapper named Slane. He's become an actor. He's been in like Gone Girl, anything that Ben Affleck has directed. He's been in, local Boston guy. But so, anyways, Brendan Gleeson's portrayal of a prison authority figure who stands out in the narrative and how he interacts with Arthur. So, so he's very subdued. It shows him taking his medication. Let's watch a scene really quick. I'm gonna pull up a clip of the film and just let's watch a clip really quick.
2 years ago, the name Arthur Fleck hit Gotham like a hurricane.
The trial of the century.
They believe Arthur Fleck to be some kind of martyr. Well, he's not. There's a monster.
When you're smiling, when you're smiling,
When I first saw Joker, when I saw you,
the whole world smiles with you.
for once in my life, I didn't feel so alone anymore.
When you're laughing, oh, when you're laughing, the sun comes shining through. For once in my life, I have someone who needs me.
How about you, Arthur? Do you still think you're a star?
Showtime. The whole world smiles with you.
You can do anything you want.
The sun comes
You're Joker.
Look around! Look at all these people!
Bring on,
I will no longer allow any of you
so stop your sighing.
to keep me down.
Be happy again.
I got the sneaking suspicion that we're not giving the people what they want.
It's okay, baby. Let's give the people what they want. Sing hallelujah. Come on, get happy. Get ready for the judgment day.
So, just to show you how beautiful it is. The movie is beautiful all the way through. All right, so Lady Gaga is Harley Quinn. Arthur's first meeting, this is early on, I'm not giving the whole movie away, but Arthur's first meeting with Lady Gaga's character, who becomes Harley Quinn, takes place during a musical therapy session. The budding bond between them and how Arthur's mood lifts once they start interacting. So Arthur is, of course, locked in this Arkham asylum, and he is in the maximum wing waiting for trial, and they have a minimum security and where they do like a lot of people that have mental health issues, they do all kind of activities, and they'll do like music therapy. Well, they'll sing. There'll be a music teacher will come in. So because Arthur has been so subdued and he's gone along with the program, just especially awaiting trial, his lawyer is trying to tell him, you need to behave. We're preparing to try to fight this and get you off on insanity or whatever they're trying to do. And it actually becomes a courtroom drama. But so what's interesting is the guards don't really treat him. They take a liking to him, to Arthur Fleck, but they don't really treat him. He's more like a little pet monkey, like you see at like a carnival or something, where the monkey does a trick and everybody laughs. They want him to tell him jokes. So at each time that Arthur will tell a joke, and it's always these fucked up dark jokes, they'll give him a cigarette, and he's just dying for a cigarette. Like that's what I was talking about a minute ago. You could tell he smokes. The sound that is made is just, it makes you want a cigarette, or you could just tell he's just dying for a cigarette. Locked in these dark rooms, this just really sad place that he's at. There's people have severe mental illness, violent crimes. There's a couple of people that are a couple of inmates that are fond of him, and I didn't know where that was going to go, but so I don't think. So as far as Joaquin Phoenix's performance in this one, it is amazing. It's incredible. He's an incredible actor, but it didn't quite get me there like the first one did. And the director, Todd Phillips, I'd watched a bunch of interviews in preparation for this and just it being interested in the film. Todd Phillips, the director, he said, quote, I knew that we were going to be under a microscope with this film. It's just really hard to follow up with something that great, meaning the first one, because the first one it just stood out so much. It was such an original movie, and his performance and how skinny he was, just how much I heard that. And on this one as well, like I'm not going to take away from his performance, because his performances probably would beat any other performances of any other actor this year that I can remember. So it's like comparing, he set the bar high, so to speak. So the visual aesthetics in this, like I said, were amazing. The cold institutional look of Arkham and how the cinematography captures the bleakness of the facility. And there's a lot of realistic detail that I look for. I always want to know where something is. And I like stories that are ambiguous as far as the location. But this was clearly supposed to be New York, 1981. They've talked about that. One of the writers that wrote the first Joker and Todd Phillips both lived in New York in that era. They specifically wanted to be 1981 New York, or an alternate version look like 1981. So I look for details in movies, and one of the things I look for is the costumes. What are they wearing? And the guards had very 80s looking polyester brown, and they all looked sharp, like a prison guard would be sharp, kind of like military or law enforcement. And a lot of movies that you see where it's inmates, or they got to do shots of either inmates or prisoners in jails, county jails, state prisons, or insane asylums, their uniforms will be all the same and all the same color and a bright orange or a bright green or white. But in this movie, the inmates or the patients, their uniforms, they're worn, they're wrinkled. Each one has a different tone and color, because I'm like, that is very realistic. That was a great detail that I appreciated. So I thought that was interesting. Another thing was they used music as a storytelling tool. They definitely used music. That's why Lady Gaga probably was selected to play this role. She she surprised me. I didn't have much. I didn't really expect much from her, but she surprised me. She did better than I thought she would. So music threads the film together. Brendan Gleeson's character, the one who is the lead prison guard, he likes to sing and whistle, part of his daily routine. And Arthur is a musical guy. He sings and hums. But so basically he's very quiet until he meets Harley Quinn. So it's basically like the Joker and or Arthur Fleck as we know it has just, again, been subdued down to a very quiet and beaten and just lethargic human until he meets Harley Quinn. And how it happens is Brendan Gleeson says, you know what, Arthur? They keep asking him for a joke. Tell us a joke, Arthur. Tell us a joke. And he's just quiet. He's like, no. He's like, yeah, any jokes for us today? And he just kind of just shrugs it off. And because he's been behaving and the guard likes to do music, he lets him go to the minimum security. He brings him up to this minimum security. He goes, I'm going to treat you today. I'm going to let you sit in on the music therapy with the minimum security. He's like, if you behaved or if you didn't have such a heinous crime, this is where you could be. And it's co-ed, so there's guys and gals, and they're all singing, and they look like they're having a better time. Just looks like a better scenario. There's better lighting, better view of the outside street. And Harley Quinn, and you could see that in the trailer, they lock eyes. And she is kind of like beaming for him, and he's like, you looking at me? So there's some kind of connection, if you want to call it love, whatever. And Brendan Gleeson's off talking to the teacher, and he gets Arthur Fleck, Joaquin Phoenix gets a moment of time to the side with Lady Gaga, and she starts telling him that I won't ruin the dialogue, but it makes him happy. They get this connection very briefly, and then next thing you know, she starts singing and he starts singing, and he smiles for the first time in the film. This is going, a good ways through the film. He smiles, and then he starts telling jokes, and he gets back and he's whistling and he's happy. It's like he found himself again. So they use music to tie the whole movie together. All right, let me keep going. I got to stick with the notes because we're at 21 minutes right now. So, all right. So, I don't really want to give much more away, but what I found really striking, why I would suggest people to go see this movie, is just what's really striking about it is how it looks, the atmosphere. It really puts you there. And there's scenes that are far out of the realm of reality, but it's for a reason, because it's all in the arena of mentally ill people. So they take liberties of going kind of far off the reservation as far as storytelling. And there's these songs, and it's almost a fucking musical. And one of the coolest things is that I watch these interviews is Lady Gaga pushed for this. Joaquin Phoenix, when he played Johnny Cash in Walk the Line, he and the one who played June Carter, what's her name? I forgot her name, but they did the performances, but they did it in a studio. What Lady Gaga and the music director, what they wanted to do was Every song that was sung by her and Joaquin Phoenix was recorded live on each take. So when you go and see the film, if and when you see the film, I hope you do, when they're singing their numbers and they're singing these show tunes, a lot of Frank Sinatra, which made me really happy. I'm a huge Frank Sinatra fan. When they're singing these songs, a lot of show tunes as well, they're singing on stage and on location, and the recording was used from that take. So it's considered they're singing live, which is really cool. And when Todd Phillips, Lady Gaga, and Joaquin Phoenix were interviewed all together, he was like, Joaquin Phoenix, I mean, he said, I was really nervous, but she encouraged him. Lady Gaga kind of encouraged Joaquin Phoenix to do it, and they rolled the dice. Todd Phillips, the creator of the film, rolled the dice and said, yeah, let's do that. And they probably had to do a lot of takes, probably wore out their throats from singing, and, you know, you get hoarse. But, you know, it was a good choice because it just made it that much more authentic. So again, I'll finish with this. Then it kind of leads into a courtroom drama because you're dealing with somebody that's fighting for his life. And there's a glimpse of hope, but then you're like, wait a minute. You think about what this guy did, and they don't do flashbacks, which I appreciate because it makes it its own book, its own chapter, its own separate story. But they do talk about what happened, and this is done really well. So if I had to explain it to somebody, this film is a blend of a musical, a suspense, a courtroom drama, and a psychological thriller. Like I said, Todd Phillips knew that they were going to be under a microscope. So I want to wrap it up, and I just want to do a summary of my overall experience at the screening, my impressions of the film, and whether I would recommend it to the fans of the first Joker. And the summary of my overall experience was, this was a movie that was made to be seen in the theater. Just as my last episode I did on Megalopolis, whether people like it or not, whether you like it or not, these movies I'm happy about this because there's so much streaming going on. Francis Ford Coppola calls a lot of the streaming stuff straight to DVD or straight to VHS kind of stuff. And they're making films like this, like the Joker, Folie, Deux, Deadpool as well, Wolverine. I'm happy that they made this movie to be an experience, and that's what I got out of it. When I sat in the theater for those 2 hours, just like what a good movie does, is it takes you away. You're somewhere else. You're experiencing someone else's life, and they did a great job of doing that. So I would definitely say that my experience of the screening was great. I thought it was really cool seeing it IMAX. My impressions of the film were, it was good. If, again, I'm not a critic, but I'm like, I want to give it a number or whatever. But if the Joker, the first one was 100, I would say that the sequel is going to say, I want to say an 87 to an 89. That's my numbers right there. And would I recommend it to the fans? Absolutely. I would recommend this to the fans to go see in the theater, to get that feeling of. So one thing that I'm getting ready to end. I'm coming up on 30 minutes here. One thing about IMAX is that, of course, you want to have IMAX for big wide shots like that movie 1917 or a Christopher Nolan film, Inception, or the Batman movies, just to give a couple of examples, or Apocalypse Now, or whatever, any kind of big production, Braveheart, whatever. I don't think they did that in IMAX, but I'm just using these as examples. So when you see an IMAX, you're typically going to get the most benefit from, or you assume that you're going to get the most benefit from big wide shots. Big wide shot of, like, it could be an exterior, it could be an interior, but just big exterior action, big shots, the city, the landscape, whatever it is. But you forget how much detail gets put into the frame of an IMAX. So when there is a close-up or a mid-shot, you're getting to see the room. For example, in this film, the Joker, you're getting to see when they show Arthur Fleck's cell, even if it's just for 10 seconds or even a few frames, you're looking around and you're going, oh my God, the detail. And they're not using that portrait focus where things are out of focus towards the edges. It's everything is in focus. Everything that you can see the texture of people's skin, their hair. It's the nuances is amazing. So it's almost like the cigarettes in this film is like its own character, because when he's smoking, the sound is amazing, and you see every little part of the ash. But it's just really good. I wanted to add that's something that I noticed. It's not just the wide scenes that make IMAX great, a great experience. It's those close-ups and the mid shots as well, because there's just so much in the frame. But I would definitely go suggest that you see it. And if anybody that's watched this episode, if you're going to see it, send me an email, reach out to me. I suggest anybody listening to the show, reach out if you have a cool story you want to tell, or a movie that you'd like me to go over, or I want to start interviewing people soon too. I'm trying to figure out where I'm going with this podcast. I just hit 30 minutes. So, but I'll end with this. It's a new thing. This is episode 10. So I don't know if I want to even keep doing a movie and then talk about it, because I don't know. This could evolve. I really want to start doing interviews, but reach out to me, people. Hit me up. But hey, go check out the Joker, Folie, Deux. This has been my time. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I had a great time with you guys. See you next time. Peace.